The world stops at 7:14 in the morning. Not gradually, not with a sound, just stops. The birds outside his window hanging in the air mid-wing. The kettle holding its steam in a permanent curl above the spout. His mother standing at the counter with a half-turned smile and a coffee cup lifted 2 inches from the table, going nowhere. And he stands in the kitchen doorway for a long time watching her not move. He tries the obvious things. He calls her name, touches her shoulder. She is warm and solid and simply not moving. And outside the street is a photograph of itself. A stickman cyclist frozen mid-turn, a stickman dog mid-leap, a stickman woman with her mouth open around a word she will not finish. Every clock in the house reading 7:14, his phone reading 7:14, the TV showing a frozen news frame, and he drinks the coffee from her cup because it is still warm, and it seems like the right thing to do. Outside is stranger than inside. The street a museum of the moment just before this one. Every stickman figure and vehicle held exactly where they were when time decided to stop for everyone except him. A stickman cyclist in a lean she will never complete. 7 stickman pigeons hanging above a park bench in a scattered pattern going nowhere. The traffic light at the junction green and staying green. And he walks for a long time through a city that has no wind, no moving clouds, the sun at exactly the angle it occupied at 7:14, lighting the world beautifully and wrongly all at once. The silence is the hardest part. He did not know silence could have weight. This is not quiet. This is the complete absence of every ambient sound the world makes when it is running. No traffic, no distant voices, no wind through leaves, no birds because the birds are not moving. Just him and his footsteps on the tarmac, the only sound in the city. And he has started counting them because counting is something to do with a brain that has no one to talk to. He finds the playground in the early part of what he decides to call the afternoon. A dozen stickman children frozen mid-play, a swing at its highest arc, a stickman girl suspended mid-jump, a stickman boy with his arm mid-throw, and he sits on the only empty swing and pushes himself back and forth, the frozen stickman children around him, making the loneliness more specific rather than less, because they are his age, and there are many of them, and none of them are available. He eats from shops because nothing has spoiled and nothing has had time to. He makes himself coffee in a cafe where the frozen stickman barista still has a portafilter in hand, mid-tamp. He finds a bookshop and reads for what his body tells him is several hours. He finds a cinema with a frozen stickman audience packed into every seat, and he sits in the center of them watching a single frame from a film he cannot place. And the popcorn in the frozen stickman hand beside him stays perfectly warm because warm is the temperature at which the world stopped. He walks to the edge of the city one day and finds a waterfall frozen mid-cascade with water suspended in carved arcs above the rocks below, and a hospital corridor with stickman doctors and stickman nurses frozen mid-step in the middle of something urgent, and a stadium packed with thousands of frozen stickman figures watching a match that will never resume. And he is the only one for whom time is passing. And he is passing it alone in a city that belongs entirely to him and gives him nothing he actually needs. He goes home each time, his mother always there, same counter, same smile, same 2 inches of coffee cup, and sits at the kitchen table and talks to her about what he has seen, the waterfall and the stadium and the frozen stickman baby in the hospital nursery that he only looked at for a moment before walking back out because some things are too still to look at for long, and she does not answer. And the not answering has a different quality now than it did at the beginning, less alarming and more like a permanent weather. And he keeps visiting anyway because she is the closest thing to company he has. On what he counts as the 14th day, he checks a clock he has not checked before, and it says 7:14. They all do. Every clock in every building he has been through says 7:14. Time is passing only for him. Everywhere else it is still that moment. The one where his mother was about to say something, and the coffee was still warm, and he would give anything to know what she was going to say. And he goes back to the kitchen and sits across from her and looks at the smile that has been there for however long this has been. And he is not sure anymore if it has been 14 days or something longer because counting days requires a darkness that has not come. The sun's still at 7:14, always at 7:14, and the clocks all say 7:14, and they are going to keep saying 7:14.